Now, look, let's have some from the back, because the back's been forgotten. But can I ask you this? With any of you, if you have ideas, other ideas of things we can do. So, for example, one of my obsessions is recall elections, which is actually a big thing from Zach Goldsmith and so forth. So if you've got ideas about it, let's have those ideas. Ma'am, you go next, and then we'll go to the back over there.
Hi, I'm Sarah Horniman. I live in Bridport. I spoke at the public examination of the local plan, where the inspector was examining the West Dorset district plan, and there are just some modifications that they're published on their website on Wednesday for further consultation. One of the things that concerned me about the local plan is that it seemed to me that very few people in Bridport actually knew about it in time to respond to the consultation. I think there was some confusion, but it's actually West Dorset District Council's plan. One of my concerns is the proposal in the plan that future town centre development should be on two of the central car parks, the one behind Waitrose and the one by the bus station and on the bus station itself. They are proposing that actually there would be something called comparison retail developed on some of those sites. That apparently means shops where people, like, say, selling washing machines, want to go to a number of different shops to look at different goods. I have a lot of concerns about this. What's the point of putting shops there if people have nowhere to park to go to them? And actually, I started a petition, partly because I wanted some evidence to present to the inspector that this really, wasn't a good plan in terms of our economy, and that people in this town don't want it to happen. The first thing that happened is I went to a local shop to see if they would hold a petition, preferably start it themselves. And one of the problems was that when they started to approach other local shopkeepers, none of the local shopkeepers knew about it. So it actually took a long time, and I had some very kind friends who helped me enormously to actually, tell people about what was going on. And then the local press really helped carry the information. And actually, in 2 weeks of running a petition, because I only ran it for 2 weeks, that petition got 2,000 signatures. That's how much people don't want it. And the other thing is that under the National Planning Policy Framework, which is legislation about planning, is in the guidance, in the professional guidance to it, actually it says that where you're having major development in a town, there should actually be more car parking in the centre of town, not less. And one of the interesting things about these two car parks at the bus station is that actually, I understand that they are owned by West Dorset District Council. Then we come on to the subject of schools. I have to declare an interest here. I've been asked to do so by Dorset County Council, in that I am a governor of a school that's in the Bridport Pyramid. So there's a proposal in the local plan that the site of St Mary's Primary School would be built on. But then it came up very, very late in my view, because I've been following the local plan closely as I was preparing to speak at this hearing, that actually the plan is that, or the proposal is that there would be a new school on the Verse Farm site, but that not only would encompass the catchment area of St Mary's School, but also the catchment area of Simonsbury School. And one of my approaches about talking at this hearing was to actually try and consult with interested parties as much as possible. So I approached the Diocese of Salisbury, and they told me that they own both school sites and that they're held in trust by the Board of Education, and that no one had consulted them about these plans. And that actually they had to be consulted because they hold these sites in trust, it couldn't be enacted without them. So that's the kind of, some of my concerns about the consultation about the local plan, and the fact that I do feel very concerned, that I don't think that some of the things that happen are really in Bridport's best interest.
So do you have proposal?
Well,
I'm speaking as a governor of Simonsbury School and myself.
Oh, you are?
Do you have any proposals about what we should do to them?
I would like to see far greater consultation with the people of Bridport. And then I would like to see the decisions taken by West Dorset District Council to show that they've listened to the people of Bridport and to the needs of Bridport. And,
But why should they be the ones in charge of planning about Bridport? Why shouldn't we do it ourselves?
I think that that's a very good point. One of the difficulties is that with a neighbourhood plan, actually, the local plan, and I've read about this, stands above the neighbourhood plan. And at the end of the day, the neighbourhood plan has to be approved by the local planning authority, which is West Dorset District Council. I would really very much like to see a unitary authority. I hear that there are going to be year-on-year cuts to the budget of local government for probably about the next 6 years. I suppose it will depend on what happens at the election. I don't think that we can afford these different levels of government. I would really like to see far greater consultation and openness at council meetings, with the public being allowed to have a much greater voice and joining in debates, because it's terribly frustrating if you get 3 minutes in which you can talk, and then there's a debate and someone's saying something that perhaps you know for a fact isn't true, and you're not allowed to speak again. So it is very frustrating.
Okay. Don't worry, I see the desperate hand over there. I'm going to come back to the right wing, but let's come over to the back left here. We've just for about another 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll have to give up, I'm afraid.
Hello, I'm Bruce Douglas. I just wanted to follow up on something that Oliver had said in relation to cabinet versus committee, because he talked particularly about different forms of government, and it seems to me that in some ways there's quite a good model for committee-type structures that exists within the Houses of Parliament, which is the regular cross-party select committees, which are responsible for two particular sets of roles. One is in the scrutinising of legislation, and the other is in the scrutiny of the different select committees in the scrutiny of the activity of government departments. These actually strike me as a part of the mechanism of the House of Commons that probably works rather better than the Punch and Judy theatre of Prime Minister's Question Time, for instance, actually in terms of trying to build consensus across parties about the way that things can be done and about how government can be held to account. So I'd be very interested when we get onto the various candidates for West Dorset in May, when we get onto your discussion, to hear what you think about other lessons that can be learned from how our political structures nationally seem to be able to use this sort of structure, and how that could be applied in terms of what happens here in West Dorset.
Okay, very good. Let's go this gentleman over here towards the back.
My name's Lee Rhodes, I'm from Dorchester. I wanted to query one of the earlier figures mentioned at the front, and that was if we go to a unitary authority, we will save an additional 20 million a year every year. I'm looking at the moment at the Cabinet report of Dorset County Council, page 5, where it lays out the budget. It seems to me the County Council has a budget of circa 260 million. Well, at that sort of rate of savings, you'd have a nil budget in 13 years. So I suspect it's a one-off saving of 20 million, not a recurring saving. I then look further down the page at the size of cuts to be made. Savings, they're not cuts, are they? They're savings. The size of savings to be made, 12.2 million in the year 16-17, 11.1 million in the year 17-18. So there goes your 20 million in pure cuts to baseline funding. That's one council. Of course, I can't on my phone pick up the other council's funding streams as well. So my concern is we need to be careful what we wish for. If we go to a unitary authority, you may, for 1 year, solve a problem, but that problem's going to come straight back and bite you in the second year or the third year. So the lady down the front here is talking about the school governor who wanted more resource. I don't think going a unitary authority route is going to give you that solution. And I'm concerned we run the risk of throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I'm going to go out on a limb and say West Dorset District Council has a PR problem. And at least a PR problem. It needs to change its ways, and I would hope Mr. Letwin could have some influence within West Dorset District Council to bring that message clearly home to them. They need to amend how they work. But be careful, public, that we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Those 20 million savings, I don't know the hell they were achieved. They're going to be probably some sort of back office function staff being made redundant. So you've made a lot of highly skilled people out of work. They've got to go and find work somewhere else. What have you achieved? And it's a very short-term solution. And in terms of what you do about that longer term, I think what you've got to do is slow down austerity at least. When you take out a mortgage, you don't look to pay it in 5 years. You look to pay it in 25 or 30 years, because over that time you can manage the debt. So perhaps we need to slow down at least austerity and actually create some more funding to provide the services that people seem to want to keep running.
Okay. Now, I'm going to have to say that we'll just have 3 more questions. I hate to do this because I know last time I got in trouble because there are lots of people who decide they want to say something, and I apologize, heckle me, do whatever the hell you like. But we'll just have 3 more, and let's have one from over here, this lady down here, if we could, please. Yeah, but we've got to give you a microphone, sorry. Come on, John, run faster than that.
My name's Nora Noel. I live in Lyme Regis. Quite a few things. In response to the last point, it seems to me if you change to a unitary system, you might actually give more power to local parish and town councils, which seems to me to be a very good idea. And the guy at the front who was talking about independence in the beginning, a lot of the local parish and town councils do have a lot of independence on them, so you get people who aren't attached to the tribal political system, which I'm not terribly keen on. So I think that would be great and would redress some of the democratic deficit that we seem to have. I mean, as for the district council, I mean, the idea that 43% comes to 100% is just terrible. And if the district council is going to have councillors that are in proportion to the number of people voting, that would be great. But it feels like a stitch-up to me. At the best, it's complacent. At the worst, it's almost corrupt, what I've heard. I'm not very knowledgeable about lots of this, but people have spoke with a great deal of depth here tonight, and they know lots of things. And it seems to me that that district council is not being run properly. The only thing I do remember is when we, a few years ago, elected a councillor in Lyme Regis that wasn't a Tory. We all thought that was great. And we were then told that actually it was a bit of a waste of time because he'd get to the district and they have no influence whatsoever. So I said, why not? And I was explained about this 100% thing. So we asked the district, can that be changed? And they said no. So I'm just totally delighted we've got this petition, because we'd been told years ago it wasn't possible to change. And it obviously is possible to change. So now we can have a petition and a referendum and get it changed. And let's all do that, because we need it.
All right, very good.